The gentleman yields back. We'll now recognize Ms. Pedersen for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Waters, for allowing me this opportunity to speak to our committee and highlight some of the areas that I hope that we're able to work on together. I want to thank you both for running a professional committee where we actually come together to find common ground and work on policies that will positively impact the American people. I'm here to talk about an issue that continues to be greatly impactful in Colorado to our economy and our small businesses. It's the Safe Banking Act. You all know that this is a bipartisan piece of legislation that was spearheaded by my predecessor and friend, Congressman Ed Perlmutter, as he previously passed the House of Representatives 7 times since 2019, this piece of legislation. 11 years ago, Colorado became the first state to legalize marijuana, and as the cannabis industry took off, these businesses ran into significant challenges in accessing basic and critical banking services. Because of existing law related to marijuana and cannabis, many financial institutions were unable to provide banking and financial services to these cannabis-based businesses. Even worse, concerns about federal regulations tie up more than just marijuana growers and retailers. Instead, suppliers, vendors, landlords, and employees who have been even indirectly tied to the cannabis industry see their access to banking sector at risk. So this poses numerous concerns for our community. It puts people in an unsafe position when they're utilizing cash instead of using the banking services. I hope that this committee is once again going to take up this very important piece of legislation. Another thing that is a big priority for me, and I know that we have already done a lot of work on this issue, is addressing the fentanyl crisis. One of the pieces that we still have yet to work together on, and I look forward to the opportunity, is looking at how our social media companies are playing a role in disseminating, unfortunately, selling fentanyl. This is impacting our young people at a very high rate, and it is past time that social media companies actually have to come to the table and be held accountable for the use of their platforms in illicit trafficking. Housing and insurance, I also want to highlight key areas that I think we have the opportunity to focus on. We all talk often about the housing crisis. We have a limited supply and we need to all work together. It's an all hands on deck moment to ensure that everybody across our communities has the opportunity to provide shelter, a roof over their head for themselves and their families. Colorado has been impacted this at a very high rate. We have many people who have been moving to Colorado for the last 10 years. And it significantly increased during the pandemic, especially for places in rural Colorado and in my community. People have seen their housing, the cost of housing increase threefold in just a couple of years and are getting pushed out in the communities that they lived their entire lives. So I look forward to working with this committee to provide the financial incentives needed for developers to build the types of attainable housing that our communities desperately need. I also encourage our committee to look at and explore legislation modernizing the FHA loan limits, exploring impact of restrictionary zoning practices that are having on our housing prices, and ensuring that federal grant programs through HUD, FHFA, and FHA work with rural mountain communities like the ones in my community. Another big barrier that we're facing in Colorado, and this is happening across the country, is the inability to actually insure your home because of wildfire risk. I think that we can look at what has worked well with the flood insurance program, what lessons we can learn from, and look at what options we can provide for people across the United States to make sure that if you are at risk of a wildfire, you still have options to buy your home and insure your home. In my remaining time, I want to focus on the risks that artificial intelligence in the banking sector. Financial institutions are already utilizing artificial intelligence to identify fraud and protect consumers, so this is the benefit. However, the risk of deep fakes potentially threatens the safety and security of consumer accounts. This is why I introduced the Preventing Deep Fake Scams Act with my friend and member of his committee, Congressman Mike Flood. This bill will establish a task force to examine AI in the financial services sector, including both the potential benefits of the technology for financial institutions and the unique risks it poses to customer account security. I look forward to working with all of you on these critical issues and really appreciate the time. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I want to thank the panel. We have votes on the floor. I don't know if the ranking member wishes to say anything, but I'll yield back. And if we're good to go, I want to thank the. We're good to go. I want to thank the panel for your presentation and your feedback and your participation. Thanks so much.
Mr. Chairman,
We'll now
Also
recess.
very much. Yes.
can I submit my revised remarks for the record?
Yes, without objection, gentlelady will be, her revised remarks will be submitted for the record. We will now recess till after votes. We'll have our third panel